Long ago, there lived a man named Lot. He wasn't a king. He wasn't a prophet. But his life became one of the strongest examples of how our choices shape our destiny. Lot was the nephew of Abraham, a man known for his incredible faith and obedience. Lot walked close to greatness. Yet his story shows how a series of small decisions can lead to life-changing and sometimes devastating consequences. Today, we're going to follow Lot's journey and uncover the powerful lessons hidden in every step he took. It all started when Abraham and Lot became so wealthy that their lands could no longer support both of their families and herds. To keep the peace, Abraham generously gave Lot the first choice of where to settle. Lot looked around and saw the lush, green plains of the Jordan Valley. It had plenty of water, and nearby were thriving cities. It seemed like a perfect business decision. He chose the land near a city called Sodom. But Sodom had a reputation. It was known far and wide for its extreme wickedness. On the surface, Lot's choice looked smart, profitable, and comfortable. But beneath the surface, it was incredibly dangerous. The Bible tells us that Sodom's sin was so great that it would eventually lead to its complete destruction. And this brings us to our first powerful lesson. Not every good opportunity is good for you. Sometimes, something looks successful, comfortable, or profitable. It might seem like the logical next step, but we have to remember that our environment shapes our character. Surrounding yourself with negative or corrupting influences, even if you don't participate, will slowly change the way you think, the way you act, and ultimately, your future. Choosing your environment is one of the most critical decisions you will ever make. At first, Lot just pitched his tents near Sodom, but proximity led to immersion. Before long, he wasn't just near the city, he was living inside it. He even became a respected leader at the city gate. Day by day, he witnessed the evil and lawlessness around him. The Bible says his righteous soul was tormented by what he saw and heard. Even though he himself was still considered righteous in God's eyes, his family was being silently shaped by the culture of Sodom. Biblical wisdom constantly warns us that living among corrupting influences can damage our peace, our family, and our spiritual well-being. And this is our second lesson. Your environment will either build you or destroy you. The friends you keep, the culture you absorb, the content you consume, it all shapes your behavior and your values. If you stay too long in a toxic place, you risk losing things you never intended to give up: your peace of mind, your moral compass, and even the stability of your family. You can't play with fire and not expect to get burned. One fateful night, two strangers arrived in Sodom. They were actually angels sent by God. Lot, showing his inherent kindness and hospitality, insisted they stay safely in his home. He knew the dangers of the city streets. Soon enough, the city showed its true, ugly nature. A mob of men surrounded Lot's house, demanding he send out his guests for them to abuse. It was a horrifying display of just how corrupt Sodom had become. After saving Lot from the violent mob, the angels revealed their true purpose. They delivered a chilling warning: get out of this place. Destruction is coming. God's judgment was about to fall on Sodom and the neighboring city of Gomorrah because of their overwhelming wickedness. The angels urged Lot to gather his family and escape quickly, with one strict instruction: don't look back. This leads to lesson number 3. God often sends warnings before consequences. These warnings don't always come from angels. Sometimes, a warning is that feeling of unease in your gut. It can be the loving advice from a friend who sees you heading down the wrong path. It can be a series of small, negative experiences that show you a relationship or situation is unhealthy. It might even be your own inner conviction telling you that something needs to change. Ignoring these warnings doesn't make the problem go away. It just makes the eventual consequences more severe. You would think that with a direct warning of fiery destruction, Lot would have grabbed his family and run for his life. But that's not what happened. Even with imminent danger looming, Lot hesitated. The Bible says he lingered. He was attached to his life there, his home, his possessions, his social standing. The situation was so urgent that the angels had to physically grab him, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and drag them out of the city. And here we find lesson number 4. Delay can be incredibly dangerous. We all have Sodoms in our lives, those things we know we should leave. It could be a bad habit, a toxic friendship, or a dead-end job that's draining our soul. We know we need to make a change, but we hesitate. We linger. We tell ourselves, just one more day, or "it's not that bad." But the longer we delay, the harder it becomes to escape. The roots of comfort and familiarity grow deeper, making it almost impossible to leave when the time for consequences finally arrives. Procrastination in the face of a clear warning is a risk we can't afford to take. As Lot and his family fled, the sky behind them turned to fire and sulfur. Destruction rained down from heaven, wiping the wicked cities from the face of the earth. The angels had given them one simple, crucial command: escape for your life. Do not look back. But as they ran, Lot's wife couldn't resist. She looked back. Maybe it was a look of longing for the home she lost, or regret for the life she was leaving behind. Whatever the reason, in that moment, she was turned into a pillar of salt. This tragic moment gives us our fifth and perhaps most haunting lesson. You cannot move forward while holding on to the past. You can't build a new, healthy life if your heart is still attached to the very thing that is destroying you. True progress, true healing, and true freedom often require a full and complete separation from our past. It means letting go of what was, so we can embrace what can be. Looking back keeps you frozen in place, just like that pillar of salt. So Lot survived. He escaped the judgment. But at what cost? He lost everything. His home was gone. His wealth was gone. His community was gone. And most tragically, his wife was gone. He escaped with his life, but his life was shattered. His initial choice, which seemed so practical and profitable, ended in total ruin. And this is lesson number 6. Wrong choices often have long-term, painful consequences. God is a God of forgiveness and second chances. Grace is always available. But that doesn't mean we are immune to the natural outcomes of our decisions. Consequences can linger for years, affecting our relationships, our finances, and our emotional well-being. Lot's story is a sober reminder that while we can be forgiven for our mistakes, we often have to live with their results. The story doesn't end there. In the aftermath, Lot and his 2 daughters, filled with fear and trauma, ended up living in a cave. They believed the entire world had been destroyed and that they were the only ones left. In a state of desperation and distorted thinking, his daughters made a terrible decision to preserve their family line, leading to a legacy of conflict for generations to come. This brings us to our final lesson from this part of his life. Trauma and fear can lead to more bad decisions. When we're operating from a place of pain, loss, and fear, our judgment becomes clouded. We can make choices we would never consider in a clear state of mind. This is why seeking healing, wise counsel, and support after a crisis is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. We need to heal from the consequences of the past to avoid making more mistakes in the future. In the end, Lot was saved from destruction, but his story became a timeless warning. He was a man who was close to righteousness, but he got too comfortable living near danger. He was a good man who made a series of poor compromises. So what are the final takeaways from Lot's life? First, choose your environment wisely. Second, act quickly when you know what is right. Don't hesitate. Third, pay attention to the warnings God sends you. Fourth, don't try to build a new future while holding on to a destructive past. And finally, understand that small compromises can grow into life-altering consequences. Being close to good influences is far more valuable than chasing comfort and wealth. Survival is not the same as living a full, thriving life. Lot's life teaches us this powerful truth. You don't have to be perfect to be saved. God's grace is bigger than our mistakes. But your choices still write the chapters of your story. Every decision you make today is building your tomorrow. So, learn from Lot. Choose wisely. Thank you for watching. If this story spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that helps us find timeless wisdom for modern life. See you next time.